You have been in love before, maybe more than once, and yet something always went wrong. The connection faded, the person changed, or maybe you did, and you were left wondering, what did I miss? Aristotle knew exactly what you missed. He described it 2,400 years ago. 3 types of love, and a warning that most people never escape the first 2. By the end of this video, every relationship you have ever had will make complete sense. Stay. Most people spend their entire lives searching for love. They fall into it. They lose it. They chase it again. They suffer for it. They change themselves for it. And yet, most people have never stopped to ask the most important question of all. What is love, actually? Not what it feels like. Not what movies tell you it should look like, but what it truly is, at its core, and what it requires of you. Aristotle asked this question 2,400 years ago, and his answer was so precise, so honest, and so uncomfortable that it explains almost every relationship problem you have ever had. He didn't describe one type of love. He described 3. And he said that most people never reach the 3rd, not because they are incapable, but because they never understood what they were really looking for. Before we go further, understand who Aristotle was. He was not a romantic poet writing about beautiful feelings. He was the most rigorous analytical mind of the ancient world. When Aristotle wrote about love, he dissected it the way a physician dissects the body, with precision, without sentimentality, without illusion. He wanted to understand love not as a feeling, but as a structure, a relationship between 2 souls, with a specific architecture. And he found that most people, without knowing it, build that architecture on the wrong foundation, and then wonder why it collapses. In Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle introduces his framework. He calls them the 3 types of philia, the Greek word that encompasses love, friendship, and deep connection. He is not separating romantic love from friendship. In Aristotle's view, the best love is the deepest friendship. The 2 cannot exist apart from each other, and the 3 types he describes explain not just who you love, but why you love them, and what that says about you. The first type Aristotle calls love of utility. This is a relationship built on usefulness. You are together because each person benefits from the other in some practical way. Business partners who respect each other. Relationships where one person provides security and the other provides companionship, or attention, or status, or comfort. Aristotle did not call this evil. He called it natural. It exists everywhere. It always has. But he made one thing absolutely clear. This type of love lasts only as long as the utility lasts. The moment one person stops being useful, the connection dissolves, not out of cruelty, but because utility was the only foundation. There was nothing deeper underneath. Think about the relationships in your life that ended when circumstances changed, when someone moved away, when a job ended, when money disappeared, when you were no longer needed. The pain you felt was real, but the foundation was never what you thought it was. Aristotle would have told you this from the beginning, if you had asked the right questions. The second type Aristotle calls love of pleasure. This is the most seductive of the 3, and the most dangerous. It is built on how the other person makes you feel. The excitement, the chemistry, the intoxication of being chosen by someone who captivates you. You are not in love with who they are. You are in love with who you become when you are around them. You are in love with the feeling. Aristotle understood the power of this completely. When you are in the grip of pleasure-based love, you do not think clearly. You overlook red flags, you rewrite reality to protect the feeling. You call obsession passion. You call chaos excitement. You call emotional unavailability mystery. And when the feeling fades, as it always does, you are left confused, because you believed the feeling was the relationship. You did not see that the feeling was only the entrance, and you never went inside. Aristotle said this type of love is most common among the young, not because young people are foolish, but because they have not yet learned to look beyond sensation. But he also saw it in people of all ages, people who spent their entire lives chasing the feeling, never understanding why it never lasted. Now, here is where Aristotle stops and looks directly at you. He asks a question that most people never seriously consider. In both of these first two types of love, who are you actually loving? In love of utility, you love what the person does for you. In love of pleasure, you love what the person makes you feel. In neither case are you truly loving the person themselves. You are loving what they provide. You are loving a function. You are loving a mirror that reflects a version of yourself you enjoy. But the other person, their character, their depth, their inner world, is almost invisible to you. This is not cruelty. This is simply the natural limitation of the first two types. They are not built to contain another person. They are built to contain an experience. And when the experience changes, the love ends. The third type Aristotle calls love of virtue, or love of the good. This is what he considered the highest and rarest form of human connection, and it is built on something entirely different from the first two. Not on what the person gives you, not on how they make you feel, but on who they are, their character, their values, their way of moving through the world, the choices they make when no one is watching, the way they treat people who can do nothing for them. The integrity between their words and their actions. In this type of love, you see the other person clearly, not as you wish they were, not as they appear to be in the best moments, but as they genuinely are, with their full complexity, their flaws, their struggles, and you choose them anyway, not out of need, not out of fear of being alone, but out of genuine recognition and admiration of their soul. Aristotle called this the only love that is truly complete, because it is the only love where both people are truly present, not a performance designed to preserve the utility, not a version of themselves designed to maintain the feeling, but themselves, fully and honestly choosing each other from that place. Now, here is the part that changes everything. Aristotle said this third type of love is not only about finding the right person, it is about becoming a person capable of this kind of love. And this is where most people fail, not because they lack love in their heart, but because they have not done the inner work that makes this level of connection possible. To love someone for their virtue, you must first be able to see virtue clearly. And to see it clearly, you must have developed it in yourself. A person who is ruled by their own insecurities cannot see another person's character, because they are too busy managing their own anxiety. A person who is driven by pleasure cannot sustain a virtue-based relationship, because the moment the pleasure fades, they feel there is nothing left. A person who loves from utility cannot remain when the utility disappears, because they never built the capacity for a deeper kind of loyalty. Aristotle was precise about this. The level of love you are capable of giving and receiving is a direct reflection of the level of your own inner development, not your appearance, not your intelligence, not your success, your character, your ability to govern yourself. Your willingness to see another person truthfully and to be seen truthfully in return. This means something important. If you find yourself repeatedly in love of utility relationships, ask yourself, what foundation am I building on? If you find yourself repeatedly drawn to love of pleasure connections, ask yourself, what am I actually seeking in this person? Them or a feeling? And if you have never experienced the third type, the deep, stable, honest love Aristotle describes, ask yourself the most important question of all. Have I become someone capable of it? Epictetus wrote that the greatest obstacle to love is not finding the wrong person. It is the inability to tolerate another person's freedom. To truly love someone, in Aristotle's highest sense, you must love them as they are, not as you need them to be. This requires a level of security in yourself that most people never reach, because most people love to fill a void, not to share a fullness. They love because they are lonely, not because they are complete and choosing to expand. They love because they are afraid, not because they are free and choosing to connect. And a love that begins in fear, no matter how passionate it feels, will eventually contract around that fear and suffocate both people inside it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the quality of your inner life determines the quality of everything you experience in the outer world. Your relationships are not separate from who you are. They are a precise reflection of who you are. The person you are willing to love, and the terms on which you are willing to love them, reveal the exact state of your soul with uncomfortable accuracy. This is not judgment. This is simply the truth that Aristotle spent his life mapping, and it is a truth that sets people free, once they are willing to look at it directly. So, here's the question Aristotle leaves you with. Not, are you in love? Not, does someone love you? But something deeper and more honest. Which type of love have you been living in? Which type are you currently in? And is the person you are today truly capable of the third? Not because you're good enough, not because you deserve it, but because you have done the work on yourself that makes that level of connection possible. The third type of love Aristotle describes is not a stroke of luck. It is not chemistry. It is not fate. It is an achievement of character. First your own, then shared. Write in the comments which type of love you have experienced most in your life. Type 1, Type 2, or Type 3. Be honest. Not for me, for yourself. Because that honesty is exactly where Aristotle said all real growth begins. Subscribe, because every week on this channel we go deeper into the ideas that explain human nature more accurately than anything you were ever taught about love. The next video continues this conversation, and if you are still here, you are already someone who is ready for it.